Good morning. This is my first morning not having to clock in. While that feels amazing, I wanted to communicate that I am terrified, that I'm scared. I want to make this video as a reminder that it is okay to be scared and it's very normal to be scared, but it's not okay to live in fear and to carry that every single day. Making really faithful decisions can sometimes feel very impulsive. And naturally, once you get off that high, your body will automatically want to get you safe again. Your mind will automatically look for safety again. So when you think about certain things, like the fact that you are not going to get a paycheck, the fact that you no longer have benefits, and this applies whether you quit your job, got laid off, or got fired. Point is, when you do not have that security of a job, of a steady income, it is very human and very normal to freak out, especially if you are a parent. So I personally wanted to share what is scaring me or what I'm scared of, because I want you to understand that you are not alone. It really is comforting knowing that somebody else made that jump, that somebody else made that leap of faith, that somebody else did something that you may be too scared to do. It's good to see how others are doing it and what is going on in their mind and heart as well. And I just want to keep reiterating how real this is, like how much of a crazy faith decision this is. I did not watch the original video where I was giving my reaction to quitting in real time. I was explaining how this is a decision that really does not make sense logically. I don't have any savings. I don't have any cushion. I actually am behind one bill, so it's not like I waited until I was fully caught up and then had X amount in savings and then had X amount in my checking and then felt comfortable. I really just decided to be faithful. Hebrews tells us that faith is the confidence in things hoped for and the assurance in things not seen. And it was just one of those decisions I had to make for myself. I had to bet on myself. I had to go all in. I had to trust God. I had to show him how much I trusted him. It was finally time for me to let God be God fully in my life, to be my provider. And faith and fear, they do not go together. And the longer that you battle between the two, well, I know for me, the longer that I was battling between the two, the more resistance I felt in my spirit and the crazier I felt like I was getting. The anxiety, the tension, I hated it. I had to make a choice. And this sounds counterintuitive, but what feels like the scariest decision logically in your mind is actually the safest decision. The safest thing you can do is bet on God. The safest thing you can do is let God catch you. The safest thing you can actually do is let God be God in your life and take care of you. So how do you get your body past the fear? How do you get your nervous system to act right? How do you get yourself to a place of peace while subconsciously being scared? So first you have to be really honest and you have to address what you're scared of. Before I had quit, I was in conversation with God every day for I think months leading up to that decision, just going over everything I was scared of and all the what ifs and all the excuses and all of the doubt. I had to get it out and I had to talk to him about it. What if my son or I get sick and we don't have any benefits? What if I'm not able to pay rent and I get evicted? What if I cannot pay my car note and I lose my car? I'm scared that all of my old patterns will continue happening. All of my self-sabotage tendencies, all of my stop and go tendencies where I get excited about something but then I never follow through. All of the ways that I'm not able to emotionally regulate and I let life get to me and then I let it stop me from either keeping you first in my life, God, or doing what I need to do when it comes to everything involved in the entrepreneurship. There's this fear of disappointment. Everyone who's betting on me, everybody who's supporting me, am I gonna disappoint them? There's a disappointment in myself. I'm scared that I am going to make life worse for my son and I just because I decided I wanted to step out and follow a dream. I'm scared that that's gonna be so selfish of me and everyone's gonna look down upon me and be like, why would you do that? Like, why would you make such a selfish decision when you have somebody to take care of? Of course, there's fear of regret, Do I think I really want this and then I'm gonna do it and then I'm gonna hate it? And then I'm never gonna be happy and I'm never gonna have the career of my dreams. Like that fear of thinking you wanna do something when you really don't. There is a fear of poverty when you are trying to come out of poverty, when you are trying to come out of survival mode, when you have not seen an abundant life financially, when you have not actually successfully stuck to something to see things come together as you know God should. It's hard to stay believing in that because you haven't seen it. Your brain does not recognize it. So it's very easy to continue shrinking yourself and to continue doubting yourself and continue that thought process of like, it's not possible. This can't happen. This can't be. because what I do is so heavy, because I have a ministry, because I do live coaching calls, because I'm a mom, because I do a lot of healing and a lot of communication, I get terrified that I'm not going to stay in the mental headspace for that. Every therapist needs a therapist, right? But when you are the person who is being of service in that way, to that capacity, there's this fear that as soon as you get messed up mentally, boom, you can't do anything. And it freaks you out because you're like, no, it like adds this extra pressure of like, no, I have to work 10 times harder just to mentally stay good so that I could be of service to everybody else. Because if I'm not okay, no one's going to be okay. And it becomes this spiral. And not only does that affect you in your job and your career, but it affects you in the online space. It affects me in relationships, and it affects me as a mom. It shows itself everywhere in my life. But that pressure could be so stressful. So that is just, a short list of all the things that had come across my mind that I kept having to sit down with God about, and being like, listen, this is scary, but what if this? And I'm scared of this. And okay, what if this happens? So I want to share that because I want you to know real valid thoughts go through my mind. It's not just, you know what? After we fall, come on, we got this. Like, it's not just a very casual way of thinking. I didn't approach this in a very casual way. I thought deeply, and there were so many things that were so deeply rooted that I was nervous about. And I don't know how I forgot to mention this, but like the biggest fear of all is, of course, that feeling of disappointing God. Of, you called me to do something so big and I don't feel qualified. There is this standard, there's this expectation that you feel like gets put on you when you decide to do anything kingdom work related, right? And it also adds to this pressure and this fear of, I'm going to disappoint you. I am going to go online one day and say something crazy, or I'm going to do something that somebody doesn't like, or I'm going to misrepresent you in some kind of way, and it's going to make me feel so, like, those thoughts also creep in of, I'm not going to do this the way that you are calling me to do it, or I'm not going to steward these things well. Like, babe, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. So many thoughts, y'all, have just consumed my brain, okay? But like I said, you have to make a choice. My light died, I'm so sorry. We have to keep pushing, we have to carry on. So you have to make a choice. You have to make the decision on what you're gonna choose to believe. Are you gonna choose your faith, or are you gonna choose your fear? Are you gonna act out of your flesh, or are you gonna act out of your spirit? I had to sit down and write all of this down. I had to write everything that I was worried about, that I was scared about, that I was frightened about, everything. I had to write it down. And I had to do three things. I had to remember all the ways God was faithful in the past. I had to get my environment in order. That meant my physical environment, and that meant the people in my life. I had to make a plan on what literally my future life was going to look like. One of my anchoring scriptures leading up to this was Psalm 37:5. Commit your ways to the Lord. Trust him and he will act. I had to commit to what I was going to do. I had to sit here and say, okay, Vanity, what are you doing every single day? What does your dream career look like? How are you showing up? I know we hear that all the time. Self-help lingo of like, live like your future self. Like, how would you make your future self proud? All those things. But like, genuinely, that's what I was doing. Like, I was really thinking about what my commitments to my future self would look like. And I was like, okay, God, I'm going to commit to doing X, Y, Z. Are you with me? Because I trust you. Because your word says, if I commit my ways to you and I talk to you about it, and I trust you, you will act. You are going to guide my steps. It says when we commit our work to him, our plans will be established. So that is the part where that faith without works kind of comes in. You have the faith, you have the trust that he's going to make a way. You're putting in the work, you're committing your work to him. You're sitting down saying, you know what, God, this is what I plan to do. You ultimately going to you're ultimately going to make my path straight, but I'm just letting you know that I'm here and I'm committed and I'm willing to show up. I did those three things. That is how I regulated my nervous system. That is how I started getting my faith fired up, and that is how I started getting rid of that fear. Now, I'm still very much a human being, and there are going to be moments where I'm going to get scared. But with that foundation, with doing those three things, and like really sitting down and acknowledging all the ways that I was scared, acknowledging with God all the ways that I was scared, it sets me up for success because I have a better foundation. I'm not operating and living in that fear, just confused. I didn't just go into this with zero preparation. I had this conversation with him and I committed to him. So there's no Now I got no choice. Now I got no choice but to genuinely trust the process. Going back to when I had wrote down that list of things, I'm going to give you just a few examples because you can do it for yourself. Only you know how God has shown up for you in the past. But I know at the beginning how I had mentioned, man, I'm scared I'm going to not be able to afford rent, lose my apartment, lose my car, da-da-da-da. Mind you, I have twice already been in that position. Twice already I had faced eviction. Twice already I had been out for repossession. A car almost going to get picked up. Somehow, some way though, never lost a car, never lost a house. Still have always had a roof over my head and my car to drive. When I'm, sitting down thinking about disappointing God and all these things, I think about all the times that he has still shown me favor, even when I was being disobedient, even when I was resisting, even when I was being prideful, seeing what he still was doing in my life to provide for me. You get it. Like I had to, all the things that I had mentioned, I had to go one by one and sit with the Lord and be reminded of a time that he already either put me through that, saved me from that, or provided for me. I had to sit down and be reminded of all the ways that he has already been faithful. It helps me remember is that my brain is just trying to find something. My brain is just trying to go back to something it knows, because it's trying to find safety. I have to remind myself that, yeah, we do know in the past this has happened. Yeah, there was a time where this happened, but look where God was faithful. And I have to keep focusing on that. And that's what it means when we seek first his kingdom and his righteousness. That's also what it means when we step out on faith. I always think of when God is like, be still. When Peter steps out on the boat, right? And he's looking at all the storms and all the waves and he's freaking out. And God is like, peace, be still. The second thing about the environment, okay? Environment is so important, you guys. Environment is so important. In that original video, I was talking about how when fear started coming back in my life, it's because I had very fearful people around me. That is its own little journey on its own, right? So in my personal life, I have had to rebuild my heart and learn how to trust again and learn how to embrace love and learn how to love. That's its own journey on its own, but you have to do that in order to create a right environment for you to succeed. If you are doing something as bold as this and you are stepping out on faith in any capacity, especially when it's crazy faith that doesn't make sense, you cannot have people around you who are not going to understand that, or else it's going to keep you more in your head. You can't afford that. You cannot afford to be in environments and in relationships that make you feel insecure. It's going to make it harder for you to stay faithful and to stay secure and to stay confident. You have to make sure that the right people are around you. And again, that's its journey on its own. For me, that's taken a couple years to finally get it right when it comes to timing and everything aligning. Now I have the right people in my life. So now I was able to step out and people didn't even flinch. They said, as you should, finally, let's go. It wasn't but it wasn't that. And so, yeah, sometimes in that process, there is a lot of grief. Sometimes that means relationships have to end. Friendship, platonic, familial. Sometimes that means you have to grieve and lose people. Sometimes that means you have to go through a heartbreak of some sort, but it's so worth it, I'm telling you. God is so ready to replace all of that. God is so ready to replace everything that's not of him, to replace it with everything that does glorify him and represent him and is an extension of him. That love is the best. When you allow him to bring people and put you in environments that reflect that, oh my goodness, it's just so worth it. It's so worth it. So the environment and the people in your life matter. And lastly, writing my commitments down. Get so specific and get so clear on what you want to do. Not just what you want to do, but what God wants you to do. And you know how you find that out? What keeps repeating in your life? What your purpose has a way of repeating itself to you over and over and over and over and over and over. You cannot run away from it. It finds you over and over and over again. Just get comfortable. Get comfortable writing down and talking out loud and talking with God about what makes you feel the best and what makes you feel happy and what makes you feel aligned. Now, that doesn't mean that as soon as you figure that out, go all in. Sometimes that means that, yeah, you do stay at your job, but you go and teach on the side, but you go and do XYZ on the side, but you do create on the side. The point is you have to get clear on what your dream day would look like. If you were genuinely living the ideal life you wanted, what would that look like every day? And then you have to deconstruct from there. That is how you make a plan. That is how you get clear on what needs to be done, to get clear on what matters to you. And I'm not even just talking about career, just fully in general. What makes you feel like you have a good quality of life? Is it working out a certain amount of times a week? Is it slow mornings? Is it being able to eat lunch with your kid every Friday? Is it Like, what does that look like? What does that freedom look like to you? What does your freedom look like to you? Not nobody else's on the internet, but what does it look like to you? And then once you do that, you get to talk to God about it. Hey, God, like, I love to serve you by using my gift of teaching. And I would love to be able to teach children full time or on the weekends. How can we start opening that door together? Like, it's really about sitting down and telling him about the desires of your heart. And that's also kind of what starts fueling up that faith, because now you feel like, okay, hold on. I know what I want and I'm so clear on it. And now I got God to back me up. We're good. I'm confident. So all in all, I want you to know, if you're watching this and if you're in a similar position, know that it's okay to be scared. I went through all the ways that I was scared. It's totally normal. It's okay to spiral. It's okay to go through all those thoughts. It's okay to overthink. It happens. You're human. But don't stay in that fear. Don't stay in that fear. Do those 3 things and see if that helps you. Take the time to address everything that's in your head and work through it one thing at a time. As I'm sitting here not working, I feel weird. I feel like I need to be doing something. I feel like, oh my God, like I'm not making money. I'd be making $16 an hour right now. But I'm like, I, of course, like feel this tension rise up, right? But I give myself grace because I understand this is going to be a transition. The best thing I can do is show up every day doing the things I love, hence making this video. I love YouTube. And I have a desire to grow on YouTube and make this one of my full streams of income. So the best I could do is show up in a genuine, authentic way. This is the first thing I'm doing. No makeup, no hair. I just got out the shower and I just wanted to talk to you guys. So I did. But yeah, this is the first day not clocking in. So of course my brain is like, did we really do that? Like, it's like, oh, okay. Now we really got to make this happen. Like, yeah, it could be very daunting and very weighted. But I will go ahead and wrap this up so I can start my day officially and still process this. But I really hope this was helpful, and I will talk to you soon.